Okay, 2024 marks a year that organizations across industries are now moving from talking about AI to actually deploying AI in the workplace at scale. In a survey conducted by Microsoft last year, just after 3 months of using Copilot, 70% of users said they were more productive and 68% felt it improved the quality of their work. Of those who have now adopted Copilot as their common working practice, they further reported savings of about 10 hours a month. Welcome to the second webinar of this Microsoft Copilot series, where we'll dive deeper into how this powerful AI tool can revolutionize your organization's everyday operations. I'm Justin Polly. I'm CTO for UK and Europe for CIFI. I'll be your host for this webinar. This is a non-technical session, and where we will continue to explore the value and effectiveness of Copilot with a deeper insight to workings that go on behind the scenes that tailors the experience. Copilot is a tool designed to revolutionize the way we work, which is powered by Microsoft's large language model, its LLM. This LLM is accessible as a natural language. With simple words and prompts, Copilot can be used as a powerful productivity tool that is able to produce ready-to-go documents and run applications from both public and privately held data. Copilot for Microsoft has been built on a comprehensive approach to enterprise-grade security, compliance, privacy, identity, and responsible AI. Because Copilot is automatically inherits your existing Microsoft data and security permissions, it makes setup straightforward. It also highlights the importance of having established content management practice and data and governance in place before rollout begins. In today's live demo, you will see how the technology could easily be adopted within your own organization and how it could revolutionize and, and speed up efficiencies in getting more done. Just before we get going, some housekeeping. Today's webinar is being recorded, so we will share a link with you after the webinar, and a copy of all of the slides will be available to you also. We do invite you to submit some questions via the Q&A feature in this webinar. You'll see that feature in the Teams application in front of you. The chat function has been disabled, so please do feel free to submit your questions at any time. We'll cover those later into the webinar. If you have any questions outside of that, you can alternatively email our marketing manager, that's Tony Dolan, on the email address you see in front of you. There'll also be a QR code at the very end of this webinar. Our speakers today, we will be joined by Chris Lines, who's Territory Channel Manager at Microsoft, and he was going to tell us a little bit more about Microsoft's Technology for Social Impact program. We're also going to be joined today by Dr. Vanu Gopal. He's head of our digital services at CIFI, and Vanu is going to go into a sequence of live demonstrations showing the Copilot in action and its effectiveness, and also obviously that deeper dive. We're then going to be joined by Rob Longley. Rob is our enterprise sales lead. He's going to tell us a little more about where you can go and get help and advice, and how to get going with this technology. And there will also be an opportunity, as I said, at the end of the session, to go through some Q&A. I will then close off, and hopefully we will conclude well inside the hour. So without further ado, I'm now at this point going to hand over to Chris, and he will tell us a bit more about Microsoft Technology for Impact. So at this point, I will stop sharing, and
thank you, Justin.
It's you, Chris.
Thank you very much. Can you see my screen okay?
Not at the moment, but I'm sure it's...
Oh, Robin, have you got it?
Yep, I can see the screen.
Yeah. Justin did say it wasn't a technical call, and so I'm not going to profess to be technical. So look, I just want to spend some time today talking to you, as Justin rightly said there, about what Microsoft are doing in the tech for social impact sector and to help you as non-profits. First, I just want to start by saying I've got one of the best jobs in the world. The reason I say that is I get to work with amazing organisations such as SIFI, who are one of our valued partners at Microsoft, but hear about the amazing stuff you do as non-profits. And no one ever donates money to your charity and says, I really want this to go on Office 365 licenses. And they want it to go on helping the mission, whether that be curing cancer or helping elderly people. I get to work with organisations of all shapes and different sizes, from UK right through to Australia and New Zealand. And we're all about helping you achieve your mission. Today, I'll be talking to you about what we're doing to help organisations such as yourselves in the world, and also touching on AI and how we think it could affect this world. I just want to show this slide super quick, not because it makes me look a lot younger and a lot thinner, but actually this was 10 years ago when me and a couple of my friends had a chance to climb Kilimanjaro. After conquering the mountain, we spent a couple of weeks with some children in the local Tanzanian villages, many of them which were orphans and were suffering with HIV themselves. Just over 10 years ago, when we visited Tanzania, there was this really shiny new device out on the market called the iPad. And in my previous role, I had my hands on this revolutionary new piece of technology. We showed the iPad off to the people of Tanzania, and it blew their mind. The favorite application was the camera. Now, if you think about the technological advancements over the last 10 years, especially including 4 years ago when people had to kind of go remote overnight, and I'm sure there'll be organisations on this call that have come through the other side of that, hopefully smelling of roses. But think about where we're going to be in 10 years from now, with the inflection point we're in with AI, and we'll touch on that shortly. But I just want to touch back onto these children in Tanzania. So 90% of the children in Tanzania at the age of 10 are literate. So that means they're still learning to read rather than reading to learn. That means 90% of the kids in sub-Saharan Africa can't read. That means they can't get a job. That means the economic opportunity gap is growing. COVID did have an impact, but we think that technology has a huge role to play in this. I'll give you a couple more analogies of what technology did during the pandemic for me. It allowed my daughter to read. She's 8 years old now. She was 4 when was sent home from school. And one of my proudest moments is helping my daughter to read via the iPad and whatever the calls were with her teachers. And it also diagnosed my little boy of having to have his tonsils out over a remote call. So that's just 2 really small things where we think technology has helped. But again, with what is coming in the future, it could absolutely impact this sector more than we can even imagine at the moment. I just want to now show you what we're doing and what the hell is tech for social impact. So at Microsoft, we needed to be a bit different. We needed to think a little bit different, have a different business model, because we understand that non-profits are different organizations to commercial entities. And we need to think about the societal changes that you serve in your communities. So back in 2017, Philanthropies brought its contribution efforts together with our business development, the big old Microsoft, and we created Tech for Social Impact, or TSI, because we need an acronym, obviously. And TSI was created to empower every non-profit and humanitarian organisation to accelerate social good. So we combine our grants with our commercial engagement into one single team. So everyone within TSI purely supports non-profit. And we use our efforts in being a 200,000 plus employee business to help with the commitment of our partners to help you achieve your missions. And we don't just provide grants. So one of my favorite things on this slide is in the bottom left-hand corner, and it's our social investment model. And now our social investment model is really about what we do to give back. So we make a margin when we sell licenses into the larger charities. And what we do with that money is we reinvest it. And so we're almost like a non-profit ourselves. We're run like a non-profit. The more we make, the more we put back in. We can't do this without our partner ecosystem. And SIFI, and there's many more partners out there that do a lot of service in the sector, but SIFI are dedicated. They understand you, they understand your problems. And without them, we couldn't do what we do. But one thing that's really, really important, and as we move into our financial year 25, which has just kicked off in the last week or so, is the top right-hand corner, this capacity building. We can give you as much technology as we want for as cheap as we want, but unless we show you how to use it, it won't get used within the sector. So really, we're all about giving you that technology affordably. So we give free licenses and also discounted licenses across most of our SKUs, which I'll go to in a sec. We want our partners to help you implement that technology. We want you to build that capacity to go and use that technology. And the great thing is, the more you use it, the more we give back. So how does that look in terms of numbers? There's some big old numbers on this slide, and I'll just talk you through them. But the top one is the one that I'm so proud about. $3.8 billion was the amount of money we gave back into the sector as Microsoft Tech for Social Impact last year. Now, actually, that will be updated in a couple of weeks for our FY24 once we announce our earnings. But 3.8 billion is an awful lot of money. To put that in perspective, if we were a country, so we were an aid-giving country, we'd be number 12 in the world. So pretty impressive. That is currently done by serving around 325,000 charities. Now, our work's only just begun here. If you break that down into the UK, there's around 32,000 charities that get our discounts at the moment, but there's 170,000 out there. So if you do anything from this call today, make sure you're eligible for your non-profit licenses from Microsoft. Go and use your free licenses and make sure you're getting the most of your discounts that you should be getting as a charity here in the UK. So here's just a quick bit of an eyesore of a slide, actually, and I'm not going to be doing any tests at the end, but these slides will be shared. But this is really just to highlight the 3 different areas that we do offer our discounts and grants. So on the left-hand side, you can see our modern work with productivity and creativity. And this is where every single charity is eligible for 10 free business premium licenses. I'm going to repeat it again. If you're not getting these, go and talk to Siffy and go and turn them on. The middle column is around infrastructure. So we, again, provide $2,000 annually of Azure credit, and that is infrastructure to help your organizations run. And then over to the right-hand side are business applications. So this is whether it be CRM or Business Central of how you're running your business, your nonprofit. The 2 stars, I don't want to leave any elephants in any rooms. So Copilot is $30 per user per month. And if you're from the commercial background, you'll know that's exactly the same price. So there isn't any non-profit discount on Copilot at the moment. Hopefully, with some of the value you'll see shortly, you'll see that it's worth every single penny of that. So just as I talked at the very start about being in this kind of unique moment and this kind of technological inflection point, we're seeing entire industries transforming with what we're seeing with AI. The macroeconomic environment is shifting. Technology and artificial technology and AI and generative AI as such is here. We have never ever seen diffusion at this scale in the tech industry. You may have seen this graph before, but if you compare the race to 100 million users for ChatGPT only taking 3 months to the internet of taking 7 years and mobile phones 16 years, you'll see that this slope is no longer a gentle slope, it's vertical line. I can actually be proud and say I lived through all of these, and my mum was one of the first people I remember, I thought, to get a mobile phone. And the internet was a new thing when I was going to school. And Facebook became huge overnight, but it still took 4.5 years to get to 100 million users. And in fact, 75% of people are already using AI at work, and usage has doubled over the last 6 months. Employees and volunteers and donors and beneficiaries are actually experimenting with tasks of using AI, like drafting documents and presentations. And it's anything to save a little time or get them ahead in their job. So employee usage is high, excuse me, but leadership is lagging. 79% of leaders believe that AI is critical, but only 60% of their organization that were surveyed lacks a plan and a vision to implement it. So 59% are worried about how do we quantify the productivity gains of AI. We thought there's a cost behind that, so we need to prove that ROI. And we've come to the hard part of any tech disruption, moving past experimentation to business transformation. That's where we are right now. And that pressure, as I say, to show immediate ROI is stalling some organizations, with many taking this wait and see approach. But guess what? This non-profit sector are embracing this technology unbelievably. Here's just some use cases of how we're seeing real non-profits across the globe of all shapes and sizes adapt and embrace AI. Whether that be fundraising, in creating personalized donor communications, or right through to finance and operations, predicting the next external factors that are going to come, like geopolitical issues, which we're very much at the heart of as we speak at the moment. And I just want to finish, and I'll show you a couple of things of how I use Copilot personally before handing over to Vanu. But I just want to finish with a quote from our CEO, Satcher. And the question is, what is our role as a business in modern day? There was a renowned economist called Milton Friedman who said the role of a company is to serve its shareholders and that greed is good. But that definition's evolved because it turns out that companies don't operate in some parallel universe or some vacuum outside the planet. We're affected by the world around us, excuse me, around global warming or poverty or our next market in Africa. Billions of people in our world are affected. So the new definition of what a company needs to do, every single company, came from a business roundtable. And that's 181 CEOs who come together. And the role of a company is not just to serve its shareholders, but the role of a company is to serve its stakeholders. And our stakeholders at Microsoft are our employees, like me. They're our partners, such as Sifi, but most importantly, they're you guys on the call and our customers, the communities that you operate in. So quite simply, our philosophy at Microsoft is simple. Companies that can do more should do more, and we are. So with that, I'm just going to super quickly share two of my favorite things about Copilot before I hand over to Vanu. It is the beginning of what this AI holds for us in store of how we pursue our vision to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Hopefully you can tell I'm excited despite having a frog in my throat, and we hope you are too. And with that, I'll stop my sharing on here, and I'm quickly going to share two, and this will only take me 1 minute. Okay. Right. So everybody uses Teams, I imagine, on this call. Everybody's probably missed a call in the past few days. I missed this one. It was an amazing call back on the 6th of June. With the beauty of Copilot and Recap within Copilot, I was able to do this. I'm just going to minimize this so I've got the full screen. So this was a call that went on. It was an hour-long call. I can hit Recap. And built into Teams, I can see the recording. I can see who spoke and when they spoke. I might really want to see what Tanya's done. And I can click onto Tanya when she was speaking, and that will be her. I can have a look at what topics were covered. So I might go into the importance of diversity and inclusion, or personal reflection on pride of community, a conversation with Robert, and that takes me into that. You can see on the right-hand side here, we've generated AI notes for you, and they actually drop down into really detailed notes. So gone is the day almost of OneNote now, and collating a notepad together. Copilot does this for you, and something I'm doing almost as a default now is copying all and sending this out to people at the end of my meetings. Now, when this gets really cool is I can then open my own Copilot. So this is on the right-hand side. Nobody can see these questions. Here's some that I asked during this call. So I maybe missed the first 10 minutes and I came in, or maybe I was watching the meeting and I wasn't quite in the room where I should have been. So give me 5 follow-up questions I could ask. And it's generated the content based on what's happened already. And it's given me 5 questions I could ask. Here's a really good one. What was the mood like on the call? The mood on this call was really positive, focused on celebrated D&I. And the session included calls to action. And overall, the atmosphere was one of encouragement. I can't say that's the same on every single call I've been on, but it was absolutely on this call. It's fantastic. And the one that I always use is recap this meeting. Now, I actually use this probably 3 or 4 times during a meeting. So I'll say, recap this meeting, give me some action points, and you can see it breaks it down into really nice points and actually gives it references of where that was. So say I really wanted to find out this part about Tanya, talking about the legal and social challenges faced as a lesbian parent, I can click into quote 4 here, and it will take me to where Tanya has referenced that. Now, my other thing I just want to show you, which again, I use every day, is within Outlook, sorry. Now, how many times have we been copied into an email like this and it's a, hey, Chris, FYI. Oh, thank you very much for copying me in on that. Now, what I can do is I can come into here and I can hit summary by Copilot. In just a few seconds, it will generate me a nice 5-point or 6-point, 5-point in this case, summary of this email. And from there, I can respond. I can give it a thumbs up to say that was brilliant. I can actually contact support and say, this is nothing what I wanted to do. But most importantly, it will give me any action items, me in bold. And for this one, I can see there isn't. So most of the times I can just hit delete. So with that, I'm going to share, stop my sharing, hand over to Vinu, who's going to take you through more things with Copilot.
Thank you,
Thanks
Chris.
a lot, Chris.
Go ahead, Vanu. Over to you.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Chris. So that was a good overview of Copilot. Hi, I'm Dr. Vinu, and I'll be talking a little bit around. I'm a certified Microsoft architect, Microsoft cloud specialist, and all those things. So I'll be taking you through the Copilot overall demos, what exactly Copilot does for you and what it is. So if you see this diagram on my screen, hopefully you guys can see my screen. If you see this diagram on screen, you'll be able to see that there are a couple of things which we have talked about, and we have talked about and seen two Office apps out there. Chris showed you Teams and Outlook, wherein Copilot was pretty well helpful. Similarly, it's helpful for other tools which you use, like the word processing software, which is the Word, and then you have PowerPoint, where you use it, and then Excel, which you use in day-to-day life, and there's a license, which Chris has already touched upon. So if you see this whole Copilot world, it is divided into three, you have three versions of it, and three implementations of it. So one is, if you go through, it is the public Copilot, which when you just go ahead and you search on Google and say Microsoft Copilot, it brings up a pretty good screen, which is kind of a screen like this, which says copilot.microsoft.com. And if you see this, it is a small sign in button out there, which is, this is the public Copilot, which you always see when you're out there. And this one is, if you sign in, it brings in the implementation, which is unique to your organization, and the data is only shared to the world if you are using the public Copilot. So if you just see in and you type in something like generate a mission statement on profit. If I just go ahead and do this, this is what everybody is going to see, and they'll generate a mission statement based on what it has on internet. And this is something the world has access to. And then the other version of it is the one where we are talking about, which is your Copilot, where I'm logged in as a specific individual. The moment I sign in, it gives me an option to just sign in as a user by using my work account. And the difference between this is the moment I hit a cursor, I'm able to see all the documents out here. So data, Microsoft, or the relevant industry or the world on internet cannot access this data. This is very much private to your Copilot. So this is the way it is basically showing you the shared data. If you see this, you can have a various, you can have a different prompt out here. So if I just go ahead and use the same prompt, generate a compelling mission statement for nonprofit. So you'll be able to see that I have an option to select some things. If I have certain files I want to give reference to, or it has to take it from. So it's out there. And if I just go ahead and type in this, you will see that the output would be a little bit different, and it'll be kind of generating through this document, which is out there. And if you see this, this is not something which you saw in the public implementation of Copilot. It gives me some references of Justin Pauly's document, which is something which was very personal to my organization. And I'm doing the same thing with the public Copilot on the same machine. It's not accessing my data. Okay. And if I just want to have these other additional prompts I have, I can just go ahead and work on this prompt, copy this, and take it wherever I want. So this is the work version of it. And then when I go to the web version, it's the public version of it. Though now it's logged in, so it's a little bit different than what you saw when I didn't log into that. So this is all about the public Copilot. And one of the cool things which we kind of face in our, like, daily business is, I have a website. I need to generate a form. I need to go ahead and, have a chat bot on my website. I need to have something which can kind of answer or interact with my end users. So here we bring out a website for you, which is basically the one wherein, if you see this, this is a website which is out there. And if I want to generate a form, let's say, for example, you are not having access to your developer and you don't even know coding for that sort, and you want to generate a form, let's say, generate So I have just gone ahead and done one campaign, and I've asked it to generate a form for me. The moment I do this, I don't have to do anything. I'm just like sitting back. I relaxed. I've just put in a command in a natural language. I'm not using any of the code. I'm not using any of the syntaxes and semantics. I'm not doing anything which is a little bit geeky. It's just a simple statement I've done, generate a form for cancer campaign. And I'll just go ahead and generate a form for me wherein it'll be just kind of work. So till the time it works in, what we'll do is we'll just go to, so voila. If you see this, this is the form which has been generated for me. If you see the next steps, it is available out there, and that is it. I can keep the form. I can decide to delete it. Let's say I've kept the form. A full-fledged implemented form is available for me. And if I now go back and I just see that I want to just see this website, it can be your live website as well. So this is our website which we have. So let me just go ahead and show you the website out here. So if you see the website, it's basically having that form. It is having all the things I have. I can just work on things. I can just edit something. And this is my website, which is perfectly fine. And this is one of the Copilot implementations of the website where I just say generate a mission statement, which is basically based on our implementation of a bot. It answers, it does not go and search the internet. It has a decided flow and it answers based on what prompts we have done. So this is one of the custom prompts. So if you see this, it is just searching things for me, and it is just taking me to a page on my website, which is out there where I have the frequently asked questions, and it's compiling data from this website itself. So under the hood, what happens is, I'll just show it to you. So it's the Copilot Studio is the backend of it, wherein you just you are able to just see things, and you'll be able to see that it's a little bit, it's a geeky interface which you see. So you have a lot of things out there. You have screens to make flows. It's just like more of a workflow screen which you have, but you don't have to worry about it because these things can be done by us, and we'll be helping you do that. So that is something which you don't have to worry about, the bots and the things, how flow is there, what all things have to be worked out. So those things are there. And now, suppose this, let the screen come up. I'll just give it a couple of seconds, and then we'll move on to our favorite Office formats like Word and PowerPoint, how it can help me. So if you just see this, this is all the Copilots I have. The one Copilot which you saw was this Copilot. And if you see this, it'll be showing you a whole workflow interface where you can do, of course, drag and drop and work with it. So all those things are there. So you can just work on it. You can just work on the drag and drop. You can just work on details editing of it. And you can just pull in actions, adding actions. So it's as intuitive as that. So that is how things are working, and things can be worked out this way. So now moving back to our Word implementation of Copilot. So if I just go to the Word document, you'll be able to see that what's happening out here is, let me just open the Word document. So this is something wherein Copilot is in line helping me write something. So if I just go ahead, write fundraiser email, and I can just refer to something, or I can just go ahead and go to the write a prompt in the Copilot, write a fundraising email. I can refer to things. I can just go ahead and generate the draft. It'll just generate the draft for me, and it can just do things which can be done, and it'll automatically generate a simple document based on whatever I have done, and I can just have flavors of it. I can just go ahead and work towards this whole thing and, just see if I want to keep it or not. So let me just go in here to the main Copilot and just say, generate fundraiser email. I can also refer to the other documents which are out there and which has been uploaded for me. So those all things can be done as well. So this is one of the implementations in Word, what I can do and generate something automatically if I want to do. I can give me suggestions. And this is what we were talking about, Chris was talking about when he showed you Teams and he showed you Outlook, that things with the existing Word documents can be worked out, and we can just go ahead, generate things for, and it can be basically referred to what all things are there. And then I come into PowerPoint. This is one of the interesting things. If you see, I just go ahead, a new presentation. I'll just say, I'll click on the Copilot. I'll just go ahead and type in create cancer fundraiser slide. So I've just not given him information, but if I give him enough information, it can just go ahead and the additional prompt is asking me about something, and it'll just go ahead and it'll create a whole new slide for me. Are kind of more intuitive. It's using natural language processing. There might be a lot of questions around that, how secure it is, how it works, what are things happening around. So just to mention, as I've shown you in the public Copilot, it is totally secure and no data goes out of the Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, and your data is in a separate tenant. Microsoft even cannot access your data. So you are totally secure in terms of your data. It does not access any of your private label data or any of the data non-shareable, which is out here. And if it has to, it'll be it would require your permission around that. So till the time it works, I would just kind of give you a sneak peek in the diagram. I'll just switch to the diagram again and just take you through what all we have worked out. So if you see this, you have terms like the LLM response, the prompt. So you have one of the things which we have seen, that is wherein you can have all these applications. All these applications have a Copilot implementation of it. They work around it. And then you have a user flow of the public Copilot implementation, wherein you kind of writing things, you can just have access to it. And then one is the one you have logged in, and it's a work Copilot, wherein it just accesses all the information, your OneDrive, your Outlook, and whatever is labeled to be public, it accesses that, or which has not been, kind of labeled as a non-shareable, it wouldn't access to that. And then you have one of the APIs with Copilot, wherein you can implement that on your website, on your existing, internal systems like your CRM systems and others, wherein it'll help you to basically use all the features of Azure AI and Copilot to, you know, work with and make your life easier a little bit. And then let me just come back to the PowerPoint slide. Okay, hang on. I've just changed the topic a little bit. It should have been the fundraisers and all. So it has to create this. It is not. Let me just check. If it's not, I'll just kind of restart this. So it'll just create a whole slide for me. So that is what it's out there to do. And if you see this,
yeah, just a quick one there. Where you click create a presentation about, if you then just type cancer awareness after about, it'll hopefully do that. So I think what that's probably going to do is just tell you to how create a presentation. I've seen that before.
Sure. So
so if you just add cancer awareness to the end of that, it may help.
Okay. So I'll do that as well. But yeah, it has generated a whole 19-pager presentation for me based on this, whatever I put in. Okay. So what was there and how to know what exactly to be done. So it has done it for me. So I can just kind of create. So let it do that as well. So I think it has kind of understood, and it is just like, okay, let me just. So I think it has done its job. It has kind of generated a presentation for me. So I will like kind of this brings me to the end of my demo. And if you have any questions, we can just move on to during the Q&A section. And I think over to Justin.
Thank you, Vinu. We're going to quickly move on. We're running a little bit over now, but thank you, Vinu. That was very insightful. Hand over to Rob at this point. Rob, are you? Yes. Okay. Well, Rob's going to tell us a little bit more about how you can get help and the availability with and a little bit more about SIFI. Over to you, Rob.
Perfect. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Vinu, for that. Hello, everyone. My name is Robin Lungley, the Enterprise Sales Lead here at SIFI, and today I'm going to dive a little deeper into who SIFI are, our partnership with Microsoft, and why we can help you as non-profit organisations utilise Copilot. So, who is SIFI? For those of you that don't know, SIFI is a global IT and digital services company that was formed in 1995, and has been Nasdaq listed since 1999. Headquartered in India, SIFI is widely regarded as a Fortune India 500 company, and we've helped over 10,000 businesses globally improve operational efficiency. We started as an internet service provider and data center company back in 1995. Fast forward a couple of years, and the natural progression was to manage our customers' infrastructure from a cloud and security point of view. And this is really where the partnership with Microsoft started to grow further. So SIFI was a crucial partner of Microsoft back in the day, approximately 10 years ago, when they wanted to break into the Asia and India market. And rather than building their own data center network, they chose to use ours. We have the largest data center network deployment across India, and Microsoft still partner with SIFI to this day to bring their services to the region. This slide gives you a little more detail on the 4 main areas where SIFI assists non-profit customers with. So starting off with cybersecurity, we help you understand not only the risks and vulnerabilities in your environments, but we help you become more aware of the new and upcoming risks that we're seeing in the world today. We have seen many non-for-profits being targeted in areas that a traditional business simply cannot be. A number of our non-profit customers that heavily rely on fundraising to operate, this is becoming more and more of a target for cyber criminals. Next, we come to optimize and manage IT costs. We know this is crucial for you to make the most out of all your IT investments. We know how stretched your budgets are. We know that you need to operate very efficiently to continue to run. And this is why we're the chosen partner for a number of non-profits to help them build and develop an IT plan to reduce spending where possible and to invest in the right infrastructure and process for now and the next 5 years. Next, we have access highly skilled people. We know that a number of you will be struggling to understand what is the right path to take with technology. This could be due to a lack of subject matter experts, or it could be due to not knowing how to scale up the organisation to where you want it to be, and IT might be holding you back. SIFI have been helping customers for decades to help build and implement a plan. It's something we do very, very well, and we can hold your hand from start to finish if that's what you desire. And finally, build, modernise and transform. We're here today to talk about Copilot. It's fair to say Copilot is still relatively new, and I think it's fair to say what people have seen and know about it, we can all see the benefit of what it could bring. but the big question is how. Making the most of modern technology is very important. For example, knowing when it's the right time to ditch legacy systems, invest in the infrastructure set up in such a way now the organization is future-proofed for the next 5-10 years to come. And as Chris mentioned regarding COVID, making sure that people can work from any place, anytime is key. This is just a few areas that SIFI can help with. This slide gives you a very high level of what SIFI offers in a nutshell, which we call our 8 business platforms. And the 3 that I'm going to talk about today are, we have cloud and IT managed services. So we can help non-profits migrate services and workloads to the cloud in a managed environment, ensuring they're maximizing the most out of their IT spend, as we know. Some services are served better in the cloud and some on-premise. We partnered with Microsoft for over 10 years. We manage well over 100 Microsoft deployments. We've managed several hundred workload migrations, and we've given advice to thousands of organizations regarding Azure workloads. Next, we have security managed services. Security is arguably the #1 focus of every organization on the planet. How do we keep our most sensitive data secure? We have a host of services with real-time proactive monitoring to ensure that your data is safe and in the best hands to keep out external and internal threats. And finally, we come on to industry apps and managed services. This is where I want to talk about our center of excellence that we've built around Microsoft, Oracle, and SAP. So from a Microsoft point of view, we have built a large team that has been delivered and divided into all aspects around the Azure stack. The members of this team are specifically trained and certified from Microsoft to deliver various aspects inside the Azure stack. This gives SIFI a very strong understanding of the Azure stack and gives customers a great peace of mind when it comes to running services in Azure. This is a very quick page. It just highlights a few stats around SIFI and around the people we have in the various roles. We have approximately 3,500 members of staff across the globe, and a large proportion of them work in the technical departments. As we can see top left, we have over 700 people working in the data center, cloud and managed service team. We have 500 plus cloud client customers, such as the National Stock Exchange in India, and we handle over 22,000 managed service tickets a month. SIFI have a very efficient team in place, handling all aspects from design, implementation, support, and management. So you've now hopefully got a good idea of who SIFI are and what we do. So what I want to talk about you next is an example where SIFI were asked to step in and help 2 very large non-profit organizations complete a unique project. And this case study is extremely relevant after I read an article that was released only this week in relation to the price of tea in the UK. We drink a lot of tea in the UK, and as a nation, we consume more than 100 million cups a day. The bad news for us tea drinkers is that extreme weather events in India very recently are hurting tea production. Excessive heat, followed by over flooding, is reducing the output. We're seeing that our tea prices could rise by 20%, which is not ideal. But back to the case study. So climate control is a global problem that we're all facing. And it was a very large problem for 700,000 farmers and 5,000 villages in Maharashtra in India. And the government of Maharashtra and the World Bank came together to find a solution of how they could help the farmers' crops stop failing as their produce was declining. Their crops were failing, and they needed to know what they could do to introduce better efficiencies to help the crops flourish and feed the millions of people who survived on the produce from these crops. The problem they faced: they had deployed thousands of IoT devices in the fields to monitor the quality of the soil, focusing on the humidity, moisture levels, and the overall quality of soil to help overcome the problem. But the current IT systems in place that the government had could simply not handle the sheer amount of data at any one time that these devices were feeding back. This is when SIFI was asked to come in, step in, come up with a solution, and it was clear to what the solution was. We knew the data was there. We knew the legacy infrastructure was not fit for purpose. So we deployed our people and our resources to move all of these workloads into an Azure environment. This not only gave them the means to be able to handle the data in real time, but they're able to save hundreds of thousands of pounds because they're able to scale up and scale down the environment as and when needed, and ultimately when the project was completed. By rolling out Azure, we helped them save approximately 70% of the cost they would have incurred through traditional methods. Because we're running this by automation, switching the servers on and the past servers on and off as when needed, this was a big contribution to saving. And with this data now in a position where we could consume it, we were able to build crucial insights and conclusions that the government could then use, pass back to the farmers to help them grow the right crops at the right time, depending on their specific soil conditions. This is a massive positive impact for the farmers, and the project was a success. I chose to talk about this case study as it's a very large, unique project, which gives you an insight into some of the bespoke work that SIFI are accustomed to, and how our long experience of running environments in Azure for so long has made us expert matters of experts, no matter how big or small the problem may be. So on this page, we've talked about SIFI, we've talked about the relationship with Microsoft, the Centre of Excellence of how we deliver the services. All presentations have a slide like this. It's simply a number of customers and partners that have chosen to work with SIFI. From a UK point of view, we can see in the middle, we have The Guardian, we have Royal Mail. From America, we have companies like FedEx and Sony. And in India, we have Max Health and the National Stock Exchange. Truly some global brands. And in the middle, a household name that hopefully most people have heard of, Microsoft. So off the back of this webinar, SIFI are offering to help non-for-profit companies, non-profit organizations in two ways. We're offering a Copilot readiness assessment to see how ready you are. Our Copilot readiness assessment is a comprehensive two-part process that involves an assessment and implementation and a training in your organization to harness the power of AI with Copilot and Microsoft. As Chris mentioned, everyone likes Copilot, but how do we measure the ROI? And do we have a plan to measure this ROI? How are we going to ensure that if we roll this out, that people are going to use it and not just going to turn it on and never use it? So we can help with the planning of not only what we're looking to achieve, but the delivering and training as well. And secondly, a free security assessment, which will help you understand the current risks in your environment now and what we're going to see in the future, and what we're seeing now in the world. In terms of the two assessments, it's there for the taking. They'll cost you nothing to undergo. It'll get you access to our experienced Microsoft trained professionals looking at your environment. And finally, from a cost and licensing point of view, the annual cost for using a Copilot license per person is approximately £300 or $30 per month. However, SIFI are working closely with a number of distributors in the UK, and we're able to offer significant discounts for Copilot. So if this is something that you are looking to purchase and find out more, please be in touch. We can help from the pricing side of it as well. And that's all for me. So thank you for listening, and back to you, Justin.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you very much indeed. I'll we're going to go into some Q&A session at this point, and I can see we've had some questions coming through while we've been on today. And just in the little time we got left, I'm going to just run through a couple of those and hopefully open some of these out to the panel of speakers as well, if we can. So the first question that came in today was, can I use Copilot to crawl over my folders, looking for scans for gift aid declarations and summarize the details of any found? Chris, I think you picked this one up, didn't you, earlier?
Yeah, sorry, I've just realised I've responded to all the Q&A, and then I realised the people that asked the questions couldn't see the Q&A responses. So for Chris to ask that question, yeah, it can absolutely reference any historic files. This is all based on a thing we call the Microsoft Graph that I think was touched on earlier. So that's anything that has got your username attached to it. It might be a Teams message, an email, a document you can edit or view. And if you go and search historic files, based on the quality of that prompt, which is something we probably didn't talk about enough today, and based on the quality of that prompt, it will be able to extract and summarize that information.
Thank you. I think the next question we had, just go through the next one. Does Copilot for Microsoft 365 use Copilot Pro or standard Copilot? What's the difference between Copilot Pro and Copilot? Chris,
Yeah, I'll go. I think I have answered them all, so I can just read out the answers. So okay. really simply, Copilot Pro is personal use. So it's priced at £19 per month, I believe, and that is purely personal. So we're getting a lot of people like journalists using Copilot Pro. Copilot for M365 is organizational use. And to follow on to that, someone asked a question around, is Copilot included in Microsoft 365 Business? So the free version absolutely is. So as long as you're signed in with your Enter ID, so your Microsoft ID, you can use Copilot, the free version, which is some of the things that were shown web facing. So things like summarizing PDFs, summarizing YouTube videos, and the chat that Vinny did essentially to ask questions and get data. But the paid for version can be applied to any license, business, basic, and up. So the prerequisite for the paid for version is super, super low now. It's the bottom of our licensing structure, and that is the one that's priced at $30 per user per month.
Excellent, good. We seem to be staying on a lot on the license and the cost theme. So it looks like you're picking a lot of these up here, Chris. But the next one we got here is Copilot included in the Microsoft 365 business license fee?
Yeah, that's the one that I just answered as well, Justin. Sorry, I just went on to the next question. Yeah,
the next question. Sorry, beg your pardon. Is Power BI and SQL capabilities of Copilot at present future? I guess that was probably directed at Vanu, but Vanu, did you want to pick that one up?
Sure. So I think with the Power BI and all, their different license, but you have the Power Platform. Along with, you can develop some applications using Copilot, but Power BI and Power BI is a separate one. I can't see the question in. Okay, here, ability to query Power BI with Copilot is live right now. So it is partially, yes, it is live right now, but it's not. There is there is a different way to do it. It's not direct queries which you can do right now. So that is what you have in. You have an interim table which you have to add. So that's how it is.
Okay, thank you. And we got another question here from Jayesh. My organization uses a custom PowerPoint theme. Will Copilot use this theme when generating a presentation?
Yes,
I think Chris answered
go on,
that.
You take on.
Go ahead, Chris. You had answered that.
Yes. Yeah, I actually put a really nice detailed prompt back in the response, but then realized you couldn't see that, Josh. So yeah, absolutely, you can use based on your prompt, you can ask it to use a specific theme. So the example of my prompt was, create me a presentation based on, and then insert a Word document using the theme, insert the theme name, make the presentation detailed, include stats, images of, insert whatever you want images of, and also create me speaker notes, which is something it does by default. So I just put an example of a prompt in there. But yeah, to really quickly, Giles, to your point, absolutely, you can use your organization's themes.
Excellent. Okay, and I think the last question we got here is from Lucy. We're a charity about to design a new website. What AI integration should we be thinking about?
So for me personally, and I'll let Vinny go after, but for me, Copilot Studio, which I know was shown really quickly, but Copilot Studio allows you to create a really, really quick chat bot to reference anything on your website. Now, Copilot Studio is priced a little bit different. It's priced per tenant rather than per user. So it's only $50 per tenant per month, and it allows any user to go and query using that Copilot. So you could create an instant chatbot for your new website, Lucy, and people could come on and say, what's the opening hours of this store? As long as it resides on that site somewhere, it will reference it and present it back to the user. Vinny, I don't know if you've got anything to add on AI integration on websites.
Yes, just to add to it, if you want, you have an option from using Power Apps as well and Power Pages as well to develop the website with the native Microsoft tools, or you can use any of the websites and you can kind of use the API as well to do certain things more if you want to add to that. So that also is available.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I hope that answered your question, Lucy. And as I said before, we will be following up. I follow up with each and every one of you for your invitation for a free assessment, and hopefully we can again go into some more detail if you've got specifics about typical things you're thinking about and how we might be able to help you address some of those and use this technology. So thanks to our speakers today. That was I hope everyone found that a little insightful and you've all taken something from it. Just before, again, or I'll do a quick summary, just to draw your attention again, to the offer that's been made by SIFI. There is a QR code on the screen as well that you can use to get in touch. But the offer is there for as I said, a free Copilot and security posture readiness assessment that we're making available without charge. And what that will enable you to do is access to our specialist team who will set up a date and time that's convenient for you to review your environment and your Copilot readiness. As I said, I would encourage you all to take advantage of this assessment, and as I said, the details on the screen. So at the end of this beginning of this webinar, we wanted to shine a light again on Copilot and Microsoft 365, so you become a little more aware about what the difference is between what's free on the web and its relevance to your organization. I hope you've all seen this is by no means a gimmick or it's just another bolt-on feature to Microsoft Tenant. It's actually something that you can truly could revolutionize the way you and your colleagues work to get work done quicker and more efficiently. We've had the privilege of hearing from our panel speakers today, each offering their insights and helpful guidance. Our first speaker, Chris, told us a little bit more about the fantastic work that Microsoft's doing throughout the Technology for Social Impact program. You also heard from Vanu, who gave us a demonstration on Copilot and showing us a few examples of how the technology can be used and be adapted quite easily around existing working practices. And in particular, he showed us a little more about some of the tools that go on behind that you need to set up, such as the Copilot Studio that delivers the unique experience that you saw today. Rob was able to tell us a little more about SIFI as a global Microsoft partner and explained a little more about where and how you can get some help and guided information to help you get going, and also to help you find the right level of support that might be right for you. So once again, I'd like to extend my thanks to our speakers today for their content and contributions today. But moreover, I'd like to extend a very special thank you to you for taking your time out today and joining us. Just again, you will see again the QR code on the screen. We will be following up, but I just conclude there and saying I'm Justin Polly, CTO for SIFI Technologies, and it's been my pleasure to host this webinar today. And again, thank you very much for your kind attention.